China's actions towards those who don't share their views or who dare to criticize them in this regard seems more and more as if they are attacking these countries and peoples. But many of these measures and sanctions that China imposes as countermeasures are viewed worldwide as inappropriate and shameful. Last December, China began economic sanctions against Australia after the Australian government urged an investigation into the origin of the Wuhan pneumonia. So the CCP started regulating Australian beef imports and even imposed a 212% of anti-dumping tax on Australian wine. However, the world responded with a campaign to support Australian wine sales, promoting them worldwide and even increasing sales. And recently, China stopped Taiwan's pineapple imports. In early March, the Chinese government announced that it would stop importing Taiwanese pineapples after allegedly finding harmful organisms in the pineapples. This controversial ban on imports of Taiwanese pineapples, which the Chinese government obtained, is seen as a purely political sanction, as Taiwan's inspection standards have been increased and no harmful organisms have been detected since October last year. The pineapples planted and shipped in Taiwan are heavily dependent on China as 90% of their exports go to China. With the sanctions, China has tried to undermine the current Taiwanese regime, which has strong support from pineapple farmers. As a result, China Ing-wen called for solidarity on Taiwan and started a nationwide Eat the Pineapple campaign to support their farmers. And here too, the world showed its support, and Taiwan finally achieved all of the pineapple exports that they normally sell to China on last year in just 4 days. The events in Australia and Taiwan have made it clear how the world is dealing with China's unjust sanctions and measures. However, China does not stop the sanctions against Australian wine and Taiwanese pineapples, and this time China turned against the global brands such as H&M and Nike. Chinese media suddenly started criticizing H&M and Nike as countries around the world criticize China's human rights issues regarding Uyghur suppression and forced labor. On March 24, 27 EU countries as well as UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan imposed sanctions on 4 people: Wang Junzhong, Wang Mingshan, Zhu Haden, and Chen Mingge related to the human rights abuses in Xinjiang Uyghur. But starting with the EU sanctions, the CCP also started a sanction against the EU officials, namely those who repeatedly raise and criticize about Xinjiang. Chinese state media also published the articles criticizing Western countries. Meanwhile, Nike and H&M's statement was reported by Chinese state media and made many Chinese angry. The content of the statement is like this: "We are against the Xinjiang Uyghur forced labor and will not work with local clothing manufacturers while worked with them." Since then, the Communist Youth League of China has actively called for the boycott of these brands. This group, Communist Youth League of China, was made of young Chinese who has a strong unconditional patriotism in China. So because of them, this is spread like wildfire across China. When many Chinese criticize the H&M and other brands, China's e-commerce companies such as Pinduoduo, Taobao, and Jingdong also removed all related products from their websites. They criticized several global brands including H&M like this: "Stop the false propaganda where H&M calls Xinjiang cotton bloody cotton. Take off your horse glasses." These companies don't want to use Xinjiang cotton, but they want to make money in China. Companies that refuse to use Xinjiang cotton include Uniqlo, Gap, Nike, Adidas, New Balance, Burberry, and Puma. Chinese singer and actor Chen Yishan and actor Bai Jingting said they will not use any of these brands in the future and also terminated all of the contract with related brands. Tencent also removed the Burberry game costumes in its popular game named Honor of Kings. Even location information of H&M stores has been deleted from the famous Chinese mapping application GAG ORDER. Meanwhile, Nike has become the boycott's biggest target among many companies. Chinese top star Wang Yibo has also broken his contract with Nike and said he must protect his country's interests. One of the most famous Chinese actor Wang Yibo's agency issued a statement about Nike's position that they refuse to use Xinjiang cotton. Starting today, our company and our entertain Wang Yibo will stop working with all Nike companies. We will strictly boycott all media and actions that pollute the views of China and not allow China's national respect to be violated, and our country's interest has to be protected. Since then, the anti-H&M and Nike campaigns have increased, and even videos of burning Nike sneakers have been posted on the internet. However, Nike has received a lot of attention in other ways as well. When new version of Nike shoes was sold at cheaper prices than usual in a Chinese internet shopping mall, 350,000 people gathered and sold out in just 1 second. This news was immediately reported by the Chinese media, and countless Chinese people were embarrassed and heavily criticized as a result. They were saying like this: "Do you seriously think these shoes look good? These shoes are so ugly. This is the root of white people's arrogance. More and more people in China get on their knees easily. One side of people burn their shoes, and on the other side of people are buying the shoes. This hard to understand the situation in China is attracting attention around the world. Of course, there are some companies that are actively working with China under these circumstances. Chinese state media have introduced Chinese brands such as Ihnen and Anta, which use Xinjiang cotton to emphasize patriotism toward China. The world's third largest sportswear company, Anta, announced its position on Weibo. "We have always bought and used Chinese-made products, including Xinjiang cotton, and we will continue to do so." But not only Chinese companies are on China's side. Apple has removed the location information from Nike, H&M, and other brands from its map applications in China. Japanese brand Asics has officially announced that they have used Xinjiang cotton until now and also keep using through Weibo. However, after many criticism, Asics changed their opinion. Asics Japan headquarters clarified that Weibo's support for the Xinjiang cotton declaration is not an official position. So what's going to happen in China? This unconditional patriotism of China would also have an impact on the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. If the global companies are attacked by the Chinese citizens including Nike and Adidas, then the Beijing Olympics would face a grave problem. Because companies like Nike, Adidas, and Puma pay huge advertising costs for the Olympics. So if these companies unexpectedly stop paying these advertising fees as a result of this boycott and thus also stop sponsoring China, the Beijing Winter Olympic will face a huge problem. Meanwhile, there are also voices of concern in China about the excessive criticism towards the world's largest global companies. They are worrying like this: if we boycott every brand like this, we won't be able to wear any clothes or shoes in China. Don't you think that would affect us too? If the current situation worsens, many Western companies operating in China will be forced to withdraw and stop investigating in the Chinese market in the short term. Then of course local factories and shop workers in China lose their jobs. Under the circumstances, even Hu Xijin, editor of the Global Times, was concerned about the current situation. He even wrote a long post on his blog saying that wars of consciousness should not turn into trade wars. China is currently receiving a lot of negative attention worldwide for this boycott. And many people know that the biggest victims of this boycott carried out in the name of patriotism will be China, not other countries. What do you think of the boycotts in China and their future? Thanks for watching, comments, likes, and sharing. Be safe.